We love the toys. Yes, we do. Now, be quiet. What is up today, guys? Today we are doing it again. Here we go. This is my Full Sail experience video for month 19 from Full Sail University's Computer Animation Degree Program from Full Sail University. So what class was this? This was Compositing Fundamentals. To kind of talk about this, we're going to talk about some class information, some assignments, the teacher, some tips, and in short, and we're going to get on out of here. It's like every month. So you guys know the drill by now. So let's just go ahead and start off talking about class information. Well, what can I say? I can say that there are 18 assignments. I know that sounds crazy, but it's easier than you think. In terms of having lectures, it's this is one of the classes where it's not really a lecture every week. They do the lectures like a podcast style, so it's like multiple videos that are sometimes 2 hours long, sometimes as short as like 5 to 10 minutes. So you gotta watch a lot of videos this month. You're using a new program. You're using Nuke this month. Nuke is the node-based compositing application. It's not like Photoshop or Substance Painter where things are layer-based. This is node-based where you can connect things. It's kind of like Substance Designer from the end of last month. Not gonna lie, throughout this entire month I have felt overwhelmed. That's how I felt back in 3DF when we were starting to learn Maya. I was overwhelmed, and then I was still overwhelmed at the end of the month, and I'm still kind of overwhelmed with Nuke right now. However, I'll get better. It's a new application, so things are scary at first. You're gonna get that, or at least I did. So if you're like me, you're probably gonna get that. Okay, I think that's pretty much it in terms of like class information. Podcast style lectures, 18 assignments throughout the month, and you're using Nuke. Let's go ahead and talk about some assignments. So some assignments, let's just break it down into the weeks and we'll go from there. So your week 1 assignment. Maybe I should pull mine up so that I know what I'm even talking about. Okay, so your weeks are kind of broken down like this. Typically 2 assignments. In week 1 there were 3 assignments. Because it's a new program and the lectures are more podcast style, it's kind of like in the reading class. They kind of just walk you through your assignments throughout the entire month. That's pretty much what this is. You've got your assignments, like your projects in each week, and then you have a discussion in which you have to, of course, then reply to someone else's discussion. And then you have a test each week, and the test is only worth 1% each week. It's not bad. In weeks 1, 2, and 3, there are 20 questions. Week 4, there's 10 questions. It's not bad. Don't stress it. Just, if you watch the podcast and guess, without like doing any of the reading that they require. So if you don't do any of the reading, you'll still be fine. So let's just look at the assignments now. So week 1, what did we do? So your first project is to take this CG car. You've got your diffuse render, your specular render, your render, you've got all those. You got all that stuff. And then you're just going to composite all of that together into this scene that they took a picture of. It's a real picture, it's a real place, and all you're doing is putting that car on top of the scene. And it's not bad, because in the podcast they walk you through it. Now, the podcasts take a long time to get through, at least for me, because I watch, and while I'm watching, I stop to actually do the work, but I also stop to write down notes. So it almost like triples the length of the podcast. So if it's like a 2-hour podcast, it's a 6-hour podcast. It stinks to increase the time that much. However, now I have awesome notes. So if I ever want to go back into Nuke, I can probably work my way through it. So that's something to take note of. Let's go ahead to project 2 in week 1. It's called CG on live action. What's that mean? CG on live action. It's a CG truck in a video of an actual, I think it was a gas station. I'm not looking at my project here. You guys can see it here. You're not setting up the cameras. You're not making anything. You're simply just compositing this truck, these rendered frames sequence thing of a truck, and putting it on the recorded video. That's all you're doing. And in the podcast, once again, they show you how to do it. They show you all the little settings you need to make. Now, they don't say every setting, so pause it and kind of look at the little numbers and make sure you're getting it right. And it's not bad. Now, granted, I don't think mine looks integrated well at all. However, I still got 100 on it. So beginners, not luck, what's the word? Like they're like, oh, he's a beginner. We'll let this one slide. So let's move on to project 3 of week 1. Project 3, CG over CG. Pretty simple. It's everything in there is modeled, probably either in Maya or ZBrush or something like that. Again, you're not modeling, you're not rendering, you're not substance painting, you're just putting all the assets together. You're arranging the nodes so that everything is pre-multiplied together, so that everything is merged together. That way you end up with one composition. And that's pretty much the gist of the entire month. You're given a whole bunch of assets and you're just squishing them all together, using your nodes, intertwining them, and making a picture or a video. Most of the time it was video. So that's pretty much it for the projects of week 1. Now let's move into the discussion. I feel like this in general is going to be a bit of a shorter video, probably. The discussions are never anything to sweat, as you guys should know by now. Most of the time it's a completion grade, and I do that because it's like, it's not a completion grade. However, the majority of the time, if you put in a little bit of effort, you're going to get 100. It's really no problem. You've got your discussion. It's called developing observational skills. Basically, it's like, why is it important to understand how cameras capture images and stuff like that. It's why is compositing important? Easy stuff. And then you have 2 questions based on your week's assignments, like what was your experience like? What problems did you have? What did you use to solve them? Stuff like that. Super easy stuff. Now, in terms of the tests, of course, I'm not gonna just read you the questions and give you the answer. I'm just gonna let you know that the first test, it seemed like it was a lot about just basic controls in Nuke and some camera stuff. There were a bunch of camera questions that I remember. I'm just letting you know, controls in Nuke, camera stuff, aperture, shutter speed, stuff like that. Pay attention in the podcast, write down a whole bunch of notes. So that's pretty much your week 1. In week 1, I got a 98.33 for all of those projects all smushed together. That was my average. And also in week 1, I spent 16 hours and 28 minutes, primarily because I'm learning a new program, I'm taking notes, I'm following along, and of course, this is gonna take me 2 or 3 times longer than it probably should. I bet if you just watched the lecture and worked along with the lecture, it's like you're trying to multitask, you probably could get week 1 done 6, 7, maybe 8 hours. But I spent 16 hours and 28 minutes. I spent that long in week 1 because I took down notes. I just counted in my notebook. I took down 29 pages worth of notes this month. So that's throughout the entire month, but now you know why it takes me 16 hours and 28 minutes for week 1 when it should take you maybe 8 hours. So just know that. Probably gonna increase your time. But you're being a good student, so take notes. That's a good tip. Week 2. Okay, I know it seems like now I'm just hitting the wall with some of these weeks, and some of these weeks just aren't great. However, week 2, I've got a bit of an excuse. I still accepted my not fantastic grade. However, it just happens. So week 2, you have 2 projects, a discussion, and a test. So your first project is rotoscoping techniques. Okay, rotoscoping is where you've got your video. It's not like a PNG video, there's no alpha. Let me just tell you. The video that you're given is of a Jedi dude and he's swinging his lightsaber. Your goal is to extract him from the video. It's like 25 something frames and you have to draw shapes on top of him. Multiple shapes, like a circle around his hand, circles on his fingers, the big old stick for the lightsaber. You gotta do all that. Multiple shapes throughout the 25 frames. You're gonna have a whole ton of shapes and the project's gonna take you a whole long time. I got an 84 on this project because there were a few holes in it, some of my blurs weren't right, junk like that. Unfortunately, when it comes down to this week, I wasn't able to start until like Saturday night and it was due Sunday. What caused you to get started so late? Well, let me tell you. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was busy. And normally I start homework on Thursdays anyway, like Thursday morning, Thursday evening, not evening, but like Thursday afternoon around 1 or 2. And then I just work through the weekend. That's typically what I do. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was busy. Thursday, Bailey, my fiance, got sick. So for the evening, I was like, okay, I'll take care of you. Wake up early Friday and get to work. Boom, Friday morning, what's happening? I feel like death. So, I mean, that just happens, and it carried over into Saturday. By Saturday evening, I was pretty much fine. So I was like, let's get to work. So, I mean, like, I got sick. It is what it is. I wish I would have had more time, but here's another tip. Start Monday, because you don't know when you're gonna get sick. But you know what, it's okay. An 84, that's not terrible. It's not gonna kill me or anything like that. It's all good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're gonna extract the Jedi. You're going to render him out on a gray background, and then on Was it color bars? I think it was color bars. I think that was it. But that's pretty much it for the rotoscoping. Rotoscoping does take a very long time, so don't underestimate it, and it's not a good week to get sick. When it comes down to that specific project, the rotoscoping, the podcast will like show you techniques on how to do it, but they're not going to walk you through it. I think that might be the one assignment that they don't fully walk you throughout the month, because it takes a long time. So just know that it's going to take some time. The second assignment for week 2, keying techniques. You're basically just learning how to make masks, and they look like alphas that you would see in Maya or Substance Painter or ZBrush or something like that. Kind of like you'd see in Photoshop. It looks black and white, but it's really just either there is data or isn't data. It's not color data or anything like that. So you're just taking, I think it was 4 images. Yeah, and you're just gonna make a mask, make a mat, a key. You're keying the mat and stuff like that. And then you're gonna composite in some backgrounds over some things that they give you. Like they give you a picture of a girl, you key her out, and then you slap her on a background. And then I think you do it again to another girl, and you do it to a skull, and then you do it to a boy. That's pretty much it. It's a fairly easy project, and they do walk you through it. And then your discussion, understanding deep compositing. You watch a video. It's like, how long was it? 35, 45 minutes? Something like that. You watch a video, and then you write your post, and then you reply to someone else's. Now your test for week 2, mat creations. And that's pretty much what your entire week is about. So as long as you're taking good notes, you should be just fine. Awesome. In week 2, I spent 12 hours and 51 minutes, and I got an 88.48 for the entire week. So just slightly below an A. It was a B+. Not bad. In week 3, you again have 2 projects. The first project, 2D tracking. So it's like 2D tracking, that's basically you're gonna have a point on your video, and it's just gonna kind of follow that point throughout the entire thing. So if you have a shaky camera or something like that, or if something's moving, it's gonna follow it. Pretty much it. Again, it's like you're just learning a new technique in a new program, new software, still kind of new. It's just going to take some time. That's the thing with this month. You just have to know ahead of time. Things are going to take time. Right now, we can all hop into ZBrush and Maya, probably Substance Painter for the majority of us, and we can just go. It just takes time. That's all. You're new at it, don't expect to just be friggin' awesome right away. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time to get friggin' awesome. We'll all eventually get there though, right? Alrighty, then, I don't even remember what that project was. Oh, yeah, I do. Shoot, okay. Week 3, project 2. Clean plating. So it's like you're given 3 different videos, and in those videos you have to fix them up in 3 different ways. So it's like there's a paint demo that he does with you, a paint fix that he does with you. There's one called the dust bust, and that one he does the majority of it with you. So the paint demo, you are taking this scene from a movie or whatever, and you're getting rid of the safety wires. You're using like a clone tool and a roto paint node, pretty easy stuff. And then the paint fix, you are getting rid of the telephone wires in the top left, as well as the dude that's kind of halfway on camera. And you're gonna make it look like olden times and awesome sauceums. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just kind of clean those things up. And then the dust bust. It's this dude being really creepy, looking around a door, and it's only 11 frames long, so it's not bad. There's a bunch of little tiny things. There's a little dust bust thing on like his lip. There's a piece of hair, and there's a whole bunch of cracks in the doors, and the little handle is green because of the green screen instead of gold. So all you have to do is just fix those little things. Really easy because of the tools that they show you how to use, so don't sweat it. At this point, these projects are all easy. They're just technical and time consuming. That's pretty much it. Alrighty, then your discussion for week 3 is job research. So you're just looking for jobs. You're gonna look for your dream job, and then you're gonna look for VFX compositing kind of job, and then just write about them, answer some questions, and it's not bad. And then your test for week 3 is tracking and clean plating. It's really not bad. I'm not gonna tell you things about the test, but it's not bad. Watch the podcast, pay attention, you'll make it. So my grade for week 3 was a 94.46, not too shabby, and I spent in week 3 11 hours and 19 minutes. Whenever the time I spend in a week goes down, I get really nervous because like week 1, I spent 16 hours, 28 minutes, and I got what, a 98.33, so I was like, awesome. And then I got sick in week 2, couldn't spend as much time, and I spent 12 hours, 51 minutes, I got an 88.48, almost a 10% drop in the week. And I was like, holy goodness. So then when my time for week 3 came out to 11 hours 19 minutes, and the week I got an 88 was 12 hours 51 minutes, I was freaking out. I was like, all the projects are done. However, this seemed way too easy. In week 3 I got a 94.46. So week 3 is relatively easy. Don't stress it. In week 1 they pretty much do every project with you. Don't stress it. Week 2 you just gotta do the rotoing by yourself. You have the project they do with you. Now let's talk about week 4. Week 4. This week is so easy because in weeks 1, 2, and 3, all of your projects are due Sunday at midnight. Now in my first week it was Monday at midnight because the Labor Day pushback thing. Regardless, all your projects are due Sunday at midnight. Now week 4, all of your stuff is due Thursday at midnight. Whoa. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the professors have time to figure out if you're gonna move on to the advanced one, which is the next class, Advanced Compositing or whatever, which is the class right after this, or if you need to retake this one. Because there's no point in you failing the fundamentals and then sending you to advanced. You're probably gonna fail that one too. All of your stuff is due Thursday at midnight. That's kind of intense because I worked on Monday and then I worked Thursday and they're both super long shifts. And I was like, okay, so I've got Tuesday and Wednesday to get this stuff done. Turns out that week 4 was super easy because I spent 6 hours and 21 minutes. So let's go and talk about the assignments. In week 4, you're learning about Nuke's 3D system. And you can set up the controls to work just like Maya, so it's kind of like being at home, just in someone else's home, if you know what I mean. Feels like Maya, but you're really in Nuke. And you just kind of learn how to model. Nuke is in no way as good at modeling as Maya. You can model basic things. You can like auto model a few things, but you're not gonna model a car or anything like that. Right? Maybe you can, but teacher dude said you can't. Not can't, but shouldn't. But anyway, let's talk about your projects. In the first project, Nuke's 3D system, that's the title of it. You're just taking these parts of a city, like, you know, you got your sky, you got your buildings, you got your building in the front, then you got some little tiny details, and you're just gonna go into the 3D system that Nuke has and kind of space them out so it feels like there's a depth of field going on, and then you're just gonna render it. It's like, it literally is like a matte painting, you know, when they have the big glass and they stick a picture on there, big glass, stick a picture in the back, and then they just take a picture of that and it's that, but you know, digitally. So that's pretty much it. It's not bad whatsoever. Your last project in week 4 is 3D tracking. So it's like the week before we did 2D tracking, now we're gonna do 3D tracking. 3D tracking, not bad whatsoever. It's almost auto tracking, kind of, because you're gonna create like a particle cloud and then the cloud's gonna like track specific points on your picture, and then you're going to use those points to extract a mountain. Like, you're gonna take the picture of the mountain, use those points that it placed on the mountain to kind of model the mountain, auto-model the mountain. Then you're going to project the mountain picture onto the auto-modeled mountain. That was really hard to say. This wasn't my first take. And then that's your project. So pretty easy. And again, follow along with the podcast, and it's not bad. And then you have your discussion, which is basically an overall course experience. Do you feel comfortable? Did you meet your goals? Stuff like that. It's not bad. Don't stress it. And then there's the Nuke 3D test. Again, this one I did the best on. I got 100 on this test. The other weeks I got like a 92, then a 75 in week 2, and then a 65 in week 1. The 92 was week 3. So it's like my test just kept getting better as I felt a little bit more comfortable in Nuke, and by the end in week 4 I got a 100 on the test. So my overall grade for week 4 was 100. I got a 100 on everything. The junk I just showed you up here, that's just what they're looking for. Which brings my overall grade for the class to a 95.73, barely in the A+ range, but we're there. A+, booyakasha. And like I said, my week total for week 4 was 6 hours 21 minutes, which brings my entire month total to 46 hours and 59 minutes spent in this month. And I'd say that's not too far off. I predicted 49 hours and 50 minutes for the entire month, so pretty much spot on. And yeah, those are the assignments for Compositing Fundamentals. Let's talk about the teacher a little bit. There's not much to say about him at all. Then we'll do some tips, then we'll do an in short, and we'll get out. So the teacher, this is one of those classes where there's a guy that teaches, and then there's a few different people that grade. The dude that teaches, he seems pretty cool. He seems kind of sarcastic, kind of funny. Definitely knows his stuff. Seems like he's been working on the stuff for a long time. The problem is, in the podcast, he seems to kind of go fast. So I found myself often stopping and rewinding and being like, whoa, what did he do? So, you know, that I could take notes and learn stuff. Another thing, and this isn't necessarily on the teacher, it's just how the course was. The podcast that we watch, the majority of them, the lecture is being given to the campus students, and us online students are only seeing the screen recording while hearing the lecture. Now, that's typically not a problem, especially something that's on the computer and we're learning stuff on the computer. We don't need to see anything physical, right? A lot of the times the teacher was like, so it looks a little something like this, and I can only assume he was making a hand gesture or drawing something on the board. However, the online students can't see that. I just hear the word something like this, and I'm like, I don't see anything. Because in 3DF, we saw the screen. However, Professor also had a camera on him, so we can see hand movements and the board. However, in this one, we only see the screen. So whenever he says, looks like this, or is something like this, kind of hard to follow him. And then not necessarily about the teacher, but about the class itself. Sometimes he would ask a question to a student being like, hey, do you know what this means? Like, we're learning something brand new. Do you know what this means? Does anyone know? And then the student will respond, but we can barely hear them if we even can hear them. And then he'll be like, awesome, great, you got it. But like, I'm like, what did he say? And then it's passed over and I'm left without knowing. Now granted, any of this I could simply look up, but I'm like, you know, if he would have just repeated it, it would have been much better for the online students, or to get a better mic, or just reposition the mic in the room. I don't know their setup. I don't know if he's wearing one. Regardless, sometimes it was just a little hard to follow, and none of this is on the teacher. None of this is the teacher's fault. It's just, I just kind of feel like the way the lectures were given, they were geared more towards campus students than they were for online students. Because again, I don't know what this is, and I didn't exactly hear a few of the student answers, so there's that. But again, that's not on the teacher. That's just presentation problems. In terms of the teacher that actually did my grading, he just kind of graded my stuff. I don't really have anything to say. So let's go ahead and move into tips and then an intro, and we'll get out of here. Tips: start early. You don't know if you're going to get sick. Know that week 2 is the heavy week, because that's the only week they're not just going to walk you through your assignments. So that's the week where you actually have to do more than the podcast is going to show. So it's a heavy week, so get started on that week specifically early. It's node-based, so you know, my tip is take lots of notes. It's a brand new application if you've never used it before like me, and that's pretty much it in terms of tips. It's a lot of easy stuff for the most part, but that's just because we're learning, so they kind of want to throw us in the shallow end, you know what I mean? So, and in short, you've got 18 assignments throughout the month. We're using Nuke. The lectures are podcasts rather than lectures, and sometimes they're geared a little bit more toward the campus students than the online. Week 1, fairly easy. You're just learning the basics of Nuke. Week 2, bit heavier because of the rotoscoping, however, still fairly easy. Week 3, pretty dang easy, and it's all about tracking and stuff like that. And then week 4 is 3D tracking and just in general Nuke's 3D stuff. And week 4 is probably going to be your lightest week. You should know that all of your stuff will likely be due Sundays. My first week was due Monday, but I believe that's because of Labor Day. All of your stuff is going to be due Sundays though. However, week 4, I just hit the table. However, week 4 will be due Thursday so that the professors have time Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to decide if you're ready to move on to the advanced. And yeah, just in general, I was overwhelmed at the beginning of the class. I'm still a little apprehensive about getting into Nuke. However, I feel like after this next class, hopefully I'll be a little bit better. I'm still learning. You're still learning. We're all still learning. There's plenty to learn. We're just gonna grow. We're gonna grow together, and we're gonna be friggin' awesome. Don't sweat it. It's like jumping into Maya for the first time, you know? It's like all these buttons, you don't know what many of them do. You can kind of figure some of them out, however, a little overwhelming. And honestly, that's how this class is. It's just gonna be overwhelming unless you're like, heck yeah, Nuke. That's just how it's gonna be. So just know that if you're like me, you might get a little overwhelmed, but just breathe, take it easy, watch the podcast, take your notes, and follow along. You're going to pick it up eventually, so it's not bad. That's pretty much it. So next month, I'm going to be going into the advanced compositing class. I think that's what it's called. I don't know if there's an official name. I don't know the official name for the class, but I think it's just like advanced compositing or something like that. My question for you guys this month: what has been your favorite application to learn? What's your favorite program to learn so far? There's, of course, ZBrush, Maya, Substance Painter, Substance Designer. What else have we used? Nuke now. Have we used anything else? I feel like, oh, we've used Mudbox. Pretty sure those are the only ones. Or is there a certain program that you're hoping to get into? Let me know in the comments down below. And that's pretty much it for this one, guys. So if you would, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. See you guys later.